What's going on, YouTube? Here to mount this body on our Tamiya juggernaut chassis, and I have no clue how I'm going to do it yet. I've been sitting here staring at it for a little while, trying to get some ideas, trying to decide height, how high I want it, and that also determines how much fender I have to cut. If it was original, it'd be setting up really high and it wouldn't really have to worry about cutting fenders. But I don't think that's what I want. I think I want the lower look, like the more modern monster trucks, but still with an old body and old styling. So let's get started. Alright guys, I'm starting on the back. And what it has, or had, originally were these giant aluminum posts that mount on top of the shock towers here. And when it mocked up, the inside bed of the Blazer body set on this pretty well. These aren't perfectly level, so it didn't set flush. But I'm going to raise it up a little bit, and I'm going to use these for body mounts. Now these are the stock mounts off of the Trailfinder 2 short wheelbase. Those are the rear mounts for the Jeep body, so we didn't use those when we put the Amigo on it. And I think that'll give me about a 1/4 inch higher, and it'll give me a nice aluminum base with pins so I can attach the rear. I will have to mark and drill the holes, so that's the only issue, but I'm going to go ahead and mount both of those up and get the rear shocks back on. And I did discover that all of the hardware on this truck is a different thread than all my RC4wd hardware, so just like this, I had to replace it with RC4wd hardware, which is not a big deal. I've got plenty of spare hardware. Just got to be careful not to mix up this stuff, because that'll be bad. I'll end up stripping something out that's really important. But I'm going to go ahead and put those on, and we'll move on to the front. Alright guys, it's been a couple hours. I think I've got it all figured out. So, I've got everything drilled and ready. The back mounts off. So I fabricated some front mounts out of aluminum angle that I had laying around, and for now I'm just using bolts. The Blazer body has the 2 holes on the firewall here and here, so I'm just going to mount to that. Later, once I get a grill and the engine and stuff in there, I'm going to have to come up with some other way than just a bolt and a nut to hold it on, because right now I don't have a short enough driver to do it without taking the grill off and sticking it through the front of the truck. So we'll have to come up with something with that later. But I'll zoom you in here and show you what I've done. So I've got this 1/2 inch aluminum angle, and I've cut 2 pieces the same length. I clamped them together. I marked the 2 holes existing on the chassis, and while they were clamped together, I drilled them so they were perfect. Then I flipped them to this side, and I clamped them, and I drilled a hole at the top so they would be perfectly even and spaced from the distance of the bottom to the top. And that way, it just worked out that those holes on the firewall lined up perfectly with just outside of the frame rails here. It's just a magical moment. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. But yeah, so that all lines up and jives. And then just for looks, I beveled in, angled in the edges, went through and cleaned up the edges a little bit, and then on this side of it as well, I went ahead and cleaned up those edges some too. Just I don't know. I didn't want to have just a giant piece, because I was thinking a tire might get close to it on that corner, but it just looks nicer that way. It looks like it was something store-bought. I think I may clean those up a little more and paint them. I don't know. We'll worry about that later. And give you a closer look at my rear. Those I can actually use another set of those body posts, and I can flip these around and put that facing forward and drill out the holes in the firewall, and then I could just body pin it from under the hood. But that's for later. So I'm going to go ahead and put it together. Just the back just snaps on, and then the front I've just got to put some screws through and bolt them. So we'll get that done. Alright guys, it all works. Show you under the hood here. Those holes, I just used some, I don't even know what kind of bolts those are, but they fit flush. And yeah, and that gives me, I mean, it's kind of a dividing line right here. This is all working out really well. I think if I go to carry on the firewall, if I do find me an engine here before long, I can just build off of that. I've got all this room under here. This support for the shock tower may have to move. May have to come up with some other solution for that, but that's all later. The engine's set back behind here and down enough to still clear just about a full floorboard. I've got this aluminum tray across the top, which is just about the exact place, the exact height a seat would need to be. So magic keeps happening. Let me flip it around here and show you how the back works. And then maybe you can see in there a little better. Bring you down a few notches. So in the rear, I just drilled some holes. I kind of eyeballed it, made some marks on the bottom. We've got our body mount sticking up here. They a little tricky to get all that lined up, but I grabbed a Sharpie and my square and just made a bunch of marks and got it all figured out. Let's see if I can show you. There we go. That's the inside of the body mount for the front. You can see that edge is square. It bolts right on. It fits pretty well. It's a little snug. You kind of have to put the front over those and then pull it down over the back. But it's working out really well so far. As I was saying, you put the front over the mounts there, and then you kind of pull the back down over the body mounts here. So it takes a lot of force to pull those body mounts off. So, well, I will put pins in them once I start running it, but for now, it's not necessary. So I was hoping I could do some more on this tonight, but that took just about all of the night to do that, to fab up those mounts. Oh, I did want to show you this. This was kind of my gauge here. The body mount hole, let me bring you down more so you can see it. There we are. This rear body mount hole on this K5 body is almost, if not dead centered in the chassis. So I looked at it. I could have easily moved it forward or back depending on which way I made the mounts face in the front and where I drilled my holes in the rear. I went through, I probably spent 30 minutes just looking at 80s monster trucks online. I Google searched and was going through. I mean, I never saw any actual K5 Blazers. There's a ton of Chevy trucks this body style. But they all, in the 80s, they really didn't cut the fenders. If they did, it was like straight back here, straight back there, just to make room. Those trucks back then, a lot of them were still leaf sprung, and they just didn't have the flex that this truck is going to have, being a modern RC. So this truck is going to, I just went ahead and centered it. That way I can cut what I need to. Might get away in the back with just barely trimming them out. The front is, well, I think we'll be alright. I'm not going to cut anything though. I decided this when I started this video tonight. I'm going to do everything else first and then cut. Once we get it running, loaded, electronics, then we'll see what's rubbing. Then we'll see what needs to be trimmed. Because I was originally thinking it was sitting so low I was going to have to just square out the fenders and do it ghetto mud truck style. But it's not looking that way now because the way those rear body mounts worked out, it raised it up another 1/4 inch, and I'm still happy with it. So I think it's gonna be all right. But anyways, I gotta buy some more body parts for this as soon as they're back in stock. I should have just ordered another K5 body from RC4wd, but it's, I don't know. I'm not gonna put a roof on this truck. I'm not even sure I'm gonna do a hood, but I've got to buy the hood to get the rear gate. I need the grill and the bumpers and the front windshield. And that's really it. I'm going to make an interior for this from scratch. It's going to be a race truck interior. It's not going to be anything. It's going to be scale, but it's not going to be Chevy truck interior. It's going to be aluminum paneled. If you haven't looked at it, check out Exclusive RC. They make a lot of cool stuff. They have a, I can't think of what it's called, like a Haltech type dashboard, a digital display dash that looks legit, and it's actually got a light in it. And all you gotta do is plug and play. It just plugs in, lights up, works. Looks like an actual race pack gauge set. They've got a tack with a shift light. I mean, they've got some really cool drifter slash race car type interior components. That's where I got my brake master cylinder for my brake booster for my other K5 body back there. Not sponsored, just they got some cool shit. So anyways, that's where we're at. So thank y'all for watching, and stay tuned. We got a lot more to do on this and a lot more projects to do a lot more on. So thank y'all. See you in the next video.